Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dion and I call this the crazy troll nation of YouTube, and I call this Tillamook. This is mint chocolate chip ice cream, scented and flavored. I'm going to show you what's on my face. But first I'm going to show you the palette that we're using. You've been seeing it. It's not new at this point. But I'm going to show you this, which is Ghost Town. Today we're going to be doing look number 6 with this palette, and I'm going to give my final thoughts. So this is what we're using. I'm going to tell you what's on my face, and then as I prime my lids, I'm going to do the introduction. So what's on my face, we have on the Fenty primer, the Fenty foundation. I wear shade 335. We then set the face with Hourglass. This is mineral translucent setting powder. So that's what this is. Then I use the Esum Artistry. Something's going to fall. Oh, okay. Hold on. All right. The Esum, I should know the name of it by now. The Artistry palette number 8 structure face shaper palette, and we used these 4 right here. So number 7, 8, 9, and 10 that we used. And I already think I have a video uploaded showing how I use it. And when I use it, I just do the same thing. We then use Desert Glow bronzer from McGrath. So that's the depth that you see right here. Then we use Desert Orchid, the blush from McGrath. That's the added color you see right here. Then we put on Venusia Nude highlighter from McGrath, and that's this added Lit From Within shine that we got going there. Then I put on the Hourglass Radiant Light powder, and I use this to finish the entire face, including under my eyes. And the last thing that we did, well, I forgot brows. Fenty brow pencil. The shade is Deep Black. That's the very first thing I always do. Then I sprayed my face with the Fenty What It Do Makeup Refreshing Spray. Then I put NYX Retractable Eyeliner in the shade Brown on my upper and lower rims and lower lash line. So that right there is everything on my face. So now we are going to prime the eye with the Fenty Eyeshadow Primer and do the intro. I call this the Crazy Troll Nation. Just enjoying what you do on YouTube. If you do videos, knowing it's okay to let your personality shine through, just to be your authentic self and not try to emulate someone else. That's the troll, that's the crazy part. Ugh. And also stammering and stuttering over my words and then saying things backwards. The troll part is not caring too much about the beauty community standards. You set the standard for yourself. As you're watching videos, try not to feel like you need to use a certain brand or a certain tool or a certain technique. Use whatever you want to, however you want to get your makeup on in a way that you're satisfied with it. The bottom line here at the Crazy Troll Nation is self-acceptance and self-love. Embracing your natural features, enhancing them if you want to, when you want to, but never feeling like you have to. You're acceptable the way that you are. You're put together the way that you are. Love yourself for yourself and for how you look, even with face paint on. Try not to look to makeup to make you feel complete. You're complete even without it. And so I just want you to know that. And if you do decide to put on makeup, just use it to enhance or just to express your creativity, but not to make you feel like you're worthy of anything or anyone. I hope that that resonates with you. If so, and if you like my content, I would love for you to subscribe if you're not. And oh, I need to let you know, I do curse sometimes in videos because I curse sometimes, period. So with me, yeah, what you see and what you hear is what you get, whether in video or in person. So that is there. Let's get into this look. We're going to take Deadwood, this shade here, and that's going to go on the outer corner. I am using on the lid for the most part Quicksilver, and I am concerned about that shade because Calico California, this shade here, is the second squishiest. Quicksilver is the squishiest, and Calico California creased horribly on me. And because Quicksilver is more squishy and more soft than Calico California. I'm like, I need to use this and see like if this is going to crease as bad. And for me, the Fenty primer is a tacky primer, and I don't think that's the issue. I think it's just the texture of the shadow because it is so soft. And usually when shadow creases, like directly in my crease, you see my crease is hidden under the puff. To see my crease, I have to go like this. And normally if something creases, I have to actually go like this, and I'm in the mirror and, you know, I'm looking for it, and I might see a little bit in the inner corner area, like this area right here. Well, Calico California, it was showing out and showing off. Even looking down, which when I look down, the crease is still partially covered from the puff. I still saw the creasing. It was bad. It was horrible. And then when I did do this, you can see the shadow here, and then it was a fade, and then it was a stark line in the crease where it had creased, and then it was faded up here in this area. And so even with something like that, you know, sometimes people can pat, or I have been able to pat out creasing lightly, but it was horrible. And there was no patting that out, because once it had separated and then dried, I guess, it was horrible. And I didn't even have to look for it, and I didn't expect it, I don't think. And so I was in the, you know, I used the bathroom mirror because there's more lighting in there, and I was, you know, I did what I needed to do and then washed my hands, and I looked in the mirror like this, and I saw the creasing looking just like this, and I was like, what? So then I looked down, and I was like, oh man, it was bad. And so I said, you know what, I was going to do 2 more looks with this palette before doing my final thoughts. I have used every shade in here. I think most shades, everything at least once with the first 3 looks, and for looks 5 and 6, you know, we've used those shades again, not all of them. And so I was going to do this look number 6, well, number 6 and number 7, and then I thought I'm gonna just do number 6 and just call it. And because I think after this, and especially seeing how Quicksilver performs, I will have a solid opinion of this palette overall. The only downside is I'll have to wait until later and then put over here, as I'm editing hours from now, you know, how bad it creased, if it creased or if it didn't. So it's not something I'll be able to say in this video unless I come back later, which I can tell you now I'm probably going to forget. So when I do my review at the end of this video, it'll be with the caveat of, if this doesn't crease as badly, you know, such and such. So that's what we're doing here today. Other than Calico California creasing, I am enjoying the palette, and I'm really liking that I did looks number 4 and 5, even though it was a comparison, because it showed me I can get my vibe from this palette. And so I'm glad that I did those comparisons. My only other thing is sometimes the mattes look a little patchy in this area right here in my crease, and I don't have this issue with other shadows, not other Nomad shadows, and so that's curious to me too. It may be the prickly pear cactus seed oil that's in it, I don't know. But the mattes do go on a little patchy. They blend out very well though, but just getting them on the lid, sometimes I find myself putting in more work than I would rather put in. Yeah, so I will save the rest of my thoughts for the end, because I just want to get this on without taking all night. I'm trying to get this to a point over here, like there's a point, well maybe it's really kind of not. There's a spot like right here where shadow doesn't want to go in, and I don't know if it's a freckle right there, because sometimes that can make it look like there's a shadow missing, or I have an indentation in my skin. I think we just covered it up. And so the key for me when I see that happening is to just tap the shadow in it and hope it stays in it. And this side looks like it's further down than this side, but we're going to leave it because we're going to put eyeliner on later. So I'm not going to fool with that too much. So we're going to just leave that brush right here. Now we're going to take Quicksilver using a brush, the same brush, but a clean one, because I have like 6 of these, I think, that we use for Calico, California. And we're going to go into Quicksilver, and this, the brush is just moving the shadow around in the palette. It is super soft. It is picking up, but it's taking its sweet time. And I do need to be gentle with it, because if I press too hard, it's just going to gouge the shadow and just move it more than I want it to be moved. It is easier with the brush than when I used the sponge tip. With the sponge tip, it was just moving it everywhere and it wasn't wanting to pick up on the brush. And so we're going to start from the inside, and we're going to put that there. And I'm wondering if I could use a larger brush with this, since we're doing this entire area. So let me try it with the Hourglass brush. But it is picking up, but I'm having to take my time because it is moving the shadow around inside the pan. So you see how it's looking like it's here and then it's coming this way like a wave. That's where the brush was. And so as I'm sweeping it one way, then I'm sweeping it the other way to just get it back into the center. So it is taking some work. Even just swiping it on my lid like that, it seems like the smaller brush works better, but I wanted to use a larger brush because we're doing a larger area, and this is really, wow. It's an experience. I like my eyeshadow to be easy, and it is very pretty. Look at this. Looks like there's a crater in there just from digging and brushing it. This is a shade I think we will hit pan on, because it's just moving. it's moving. And if you just keep swiping in the middle, you're going to end up with a hole in the middle of the shadow. It is very pretty though, and so I want it to work. I want it to work. If you're thinking you have to use glitter glues with shimmers, whatever, this one and this one, well, I'll speak for this one, Calico, California, the one I said creased horribly on me. The other shimmers in here, well, let me back up. Calico, California creased on me in probably like 20 minutes. And the other shimmers in here, with the exception of this one, which is Tombstone, all the other shimmers in here did crease on me after like 2 or 3 hours, but it was very minor and I had to, you know, look for it. And so I think it's just this formula. And as much as I love Haunted Europe, all the shimmers in that palette crease on me too, but it's minor and I have to look for it. And that may be even longer, maybe after like 3 or 4 hours. And so it's just something with the texture of the shadows. And if it is just the texture of the shadows, glitter glue is not going to help that. Also, if you're still thinking Troll needs to use glitter glue, my lids don't tolerate glitter glue, so that's not an option for me. And there are some people that use glitter glue for every shimmer because that's just what they do. I don't have that option to do that. And so I do the best I can with what I have, but I do really think it's just the texture of these shadows. And for all the other Nomad shimmers over this primer, they work fine. Except for, well, not except for, but as I said, Haunted Europe, all the shimmers crease on me very, very mildly after 3 to 4 hours. So I don't feel like I need to keep trying different glitter primers because my lids don't like the few that I've tried, so I'm just over it. This is gorgeous. This is gorgeous. Yeah, let me just use the top of the brush just to bring this up a little bit. The mattes in here are phenomenal. The mattes in here are really phenomenal. I don't know if this is, I don't know what that was. You know, I think it was a piece of liner from in my eyelashes. I'm not seeing any fallout. Doesn't mean it's not there. I just don't see it. If it is. This is nice. I really like this look. I have high hopes for it. But I am concerned. And, you know, liking the look says a lot. It does. Now we're going to take Undead Sheriff, this shade here, which I don't like. And I have that for a transition, but I'm kind of not wanting to do that. We're just going to put that, well, actually brow bone, because we took the shades up so high. They are in my transition. So we're just going to do that. We're just going to tap right here in this empty space. And we're going to leave it. I don't like this shade on me. I think it borders on ashy dusty, but just tapping it, it's okay. And if I do too much, like to me, this is looking a little ashy dusty, whereas this side doesn't. So we're going to go back to the brush that had Deadwood on it, and we're just going to just buff right here. Just to kind of tone down what to me looks ashy slash dusty. So I do really like this look, and that shade does serve a purpose. We're going back to the brush, not adding more on it. Undead Sheriff, and we're tapping there. And so I am really digging it. For lower lash line, we're going to take Bandit Queen, which is this shade right here. And this is going to go on our lower lash line, and that's why we put the brown under here. So we're going to connect it, so maybe that'll take care of this little peak right here, or not. And if not, it's okay. It is okay. We are not about perfection here. We're just about getting a look that we can be like, yeah, I'm digging it. I like how that, excuse me for smacking, I like how that smoked out the liner. So this is with Bandit Queen, and this is without. And I'm going to take more Bandit Queen because I want to bring it down a little bit further. And we are going to top this with a shimmer. I don't know why I've gotten into that, putting shimmer on top of a matte shade on my lower lash line. Maybe I initially did it just to try something new, and then I really liked it because it is different, because usually people don't put shimmers on the lower lash line. They'll just put a shimmer like tear duct area, like right here maybe, or just this area right here, but not all the way across. But I really like that. We're going to bring this down a little bit further, and that'll be it for that. And now we're going to take, I feel something on my face. Now we're going to take, what are we taking? Ghost Train. Ghost Train. This shade right here. I was thinking of taking Copper Penny, but then I thought Ghost Train would look better with the gray that we have going on up top. And so we're tapping in here and turning the brush as we go and tapping off. And we're going to put this on our lower lash line. We are good for time, y'all, which is great. Right now we're at like 18 minutes, almost 19 minutes. I like that. I'm trying to think of a lip now. I'm gonna just do a black lip, I think. Since we have a dark look, a dark eye look. You know, I'm hearing, who was it? Was it Mary? When I was doing a live stream and I was saying what lip should I use, she said pink. I was like, pink. What in the world? So shout out to you, Mary, because that still makes me laugh every time I think about it. And she commented under one of my videos, where's the pink lip though? And I'm like, see, trolls got jokes. we got jokes, y'all. I'm trying to think of a liner for upper lash line. I am liking the look. I'm gonna just do a black. I haven't used this in a long time. I don't know if it's done or not. This is, I know, a liquid liner, right? We're going to put on the Fenty Flyliner, and the shade is 'Cause I'm Black. And we're going to put on Max Caviar, which is a black. And we're going to put on Fenty Hella Thick Mascara, and also Lancome Cils Boost Mascara base before we put the mascara on, because I do think this is almost done. So we're going to see how done it is or is not. You know what I'm thinking too? I could do graphic liner and put OK Boomer somewhere. I'm going to think about that, but I'm going to dig that out. And I'm going to think about that as I'm doing the other stuff. And so we will come back with the finished look. We did use the Fenty Flyliner, and because I'm black, we did use the Lancome Cils Boost mascara base. We did use Fenty Hella Thick mascara. The shade is in black. We did put on MAC Retro Matte Liquid Lip Color in Caviar, and we tapped some of Smoky Quartz on top of the lip. And also, we did a tiny bit of experimentation with OK Boomer Melt Cosmetics gel liner. This one says Metal Bond gel liner, and this is what that looks like. And we did a line here, as you can see, and a line here, there, and there. And I thought about doing a line here, but then I'm like, let me not do too much, because I am still very much experimenting with the graphic liner, and I don't want to experiment too much in a video and then it comes out busted. And so I do think, though, like for the lip, it's a sharp cutoff from where Smoky Quartz stopped. But no one should be that close to notice, and I think I just might have fixed it. So this is the look that we have, and what I'll do is I will leave in a pinned comment about the creasing, so that way I can just go ahead and edit the video. From what I can see right now, it does look like, because I know what, for me, creasing looks like. For me, I can already see some of the shadow gathering, like right in here in the crease. And so, being that all the shimmers in here, except that one in the top left corner, does crease on me, I am sure that this will. How badly, though, I'm not sure. But I will leave in the pinned comment what it's going to do, or what it did do. Yeah, so I'm going to give you my final thoughts on this palette. The caveat, well, it's not even a caveat. I am enjoying the palette now that I've done looks 4 and 5, and this one number 6. I am loving how this looks. Also, I did take a little bit of Quicksilver and put inner corner lower lash line here. I am enjoying the palette once I started doing the other looks and not just doing by rows. It does give me my vibe. It does give me one of the few aesthetics that I like. And the mattes perform very well. They're a little patchy though. They're a tad patchy, and I'm not used to that from Nomad shadows. All the shimmers except this one, they did crease on me. It wasn't noticeable. I had to actually like really just look for it. And so that doesn't bother me, because all the puffiness you can't see in my crease, and even if I just look down, you can't see in my crease. And yes, I poked myself in my eyelashes, and so mild creasing doesn't bother me because it's hidden under the puff. But this one, Calico California, was horrible, and I think it's just because of how soft and squishy that shadow is, and that's what concerns me with this one. It is important for me to enjoy an entire palette. And I put in my Instagram post when I was talking about the creasing from Calico California that it may just be best on the lid and not all the way up, not put into the crease and the transition area, because if this isn't in the crease, it's not going to crease in the crease. You know what I mean? And so that just may be a shade to just put on, well, for me, the mobile lid. But that's not how I do my eyeshadow. I take my lid shade all the way up into the crease and up into the transition area, excuse me. And so that it would deter me from using that shade, or just use it on the lid like I do, meaning all the way up, if I know I'm only going to be out for maybe 2 hours or so, because after that I'm not going to want that look on my eyelids. And so that'll just be something I need to think about, which in a way takes some of the joy out of it, because when I do looks, my intention is to keep it on all day, all night, not to touch up. I don't freshen up my makeup. Even with liquid lipsticks, I don't freshen up. if it does start to wear off after, 6-7 hours or whatever, or if I eat something oily, I just wipe it off and put on chapstick. I don't freshen up my makeup. And so carrying this with me, or a shade similar to this one or this one, to like freshen up and fix it when it creases, that's not something I would do. And so that would deter me from using those two shades, or just put them on lower lash line. You know what I mean? So, excuse me. Other than that, I do really enjoy the palette. If your lids are prone to creasing, or if you did have Haunted Europe, as I mentioned earlier, all the shimmers in that palette creased on me very mildly. It was hidden under, my puffiness, and so it didn't matter to me. But if you had that palette, or still do, Haunted Europe, and those shimmers creased on you, these may crease on you too, even though this is the brand new shimmer formula in this palette. And so it may not even be relevant to Haunted Europe shimmers creasing, because this is a brand new shimmer formula. It says Nomad from one of their Instagram posts. So my final thoughts on this palette is, it's a beautiful color story, especially if you like muted, desaturated colors, because other than this bottom row and other than this shade, everything is just a lighter tone than I prefer. But I was able to get looks 4 and 5 out of it that I really like, and this one I really like too, because I do also like dark, I like smoke, I like vamp, and that's what this is kind of giving me, because it is just silver and black, then a pop of this shade at the bottom, and then the black lip. And so this is one of my vibes, and so I am thankful that the brand did send this to me, and I am happy to have it. I'm just not overjoyed because of this shade and what I think is going to happen with this shade, because as I said, it is important for me to enjoy an entire palette. And I know for some people it's not important, because they'll just go and pull out this shade, pull out that shade, and then go into like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 other palettes, or they're pulling in shimmers from other palettes, or dual chromes or multi-chromes or whatever. But for me, when I pick up a palette, my intention is just to use that one palette. And so that plays a factor into my overall review as well. If you're just a one and done, pick up one palette and that's it, it may be something for you to think about if you think these two shades are going to really crease on you. I don't find that it gives texture to my lids. Like once it's on, it does look smooth. I know some people were concerned about, is it going to make my lids look textured? I don't have textured lids anyway, and so I can't really speak to if it's going to make your lids look textured. My skin is not oily, my skin is not dry, it's just regular, so I don't know if that may have an impact on how these shimmers perform on you or not. For me, the Fenty primer is a tacky primer. You saw how it went on fine. I just hit myself in the face. It went on fine with a small dense shader brush, and it also went on fine with a larger dense shader brush. But because of how soft and squishy this shade is, I had the same issue that I had with this one, which is actually getting it onto the brush. But once it's on, you saw how it applied. It applied fine. I mean, I had to keep going back and forth just because it wasn't picking up a lot on the brush. And you can see, like, there's a serious crater in that from the brush. Like, it's just really soft. But this is a keeper. Depending on, I'll say this, it's a keeper for now. And what it will depend on is if I'm going to want to use these two shades and then not want to pick up the palette because I don't want to use these two shades. You know what I'm saying? If that made sense. I do think I'm going to do some pairings though. And so that'll be another reason to keep it an experiment. But I really kind of feel like I'm going to be avoiding these two, which defeats the purpose because they are very pretty shades. Not defeats the purpose of the entire palette, but you know, I want to use the entire palette and love the entire palette. But I am loving looks 4 and 5 that I did, and I love look number 6. I'm glad we did a little bit of graphic liner over here, and I thought that would have been a nice touch because it's silver, the same as Quicksilver. And yeah, so let me know your thoughts on this. And yeah, I can see where it's starting, and you guys probably aren't seeing it, but I know my lids and what shadows do and how it begins. But yeah, so I'll just leave a pinned comment, and so make sure you read that to see what my thoughts are on that. But yeah, so those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on looks 4, 5, and this one number 6. And if you're going to pick up this palette, if you think you are, I love the aesthetic of it. Like, this is just freaking amazing. And I do like the color story. Keep in mind, I do like darker, smoky, swamp water, grungy. And I did get, you know, swamp water out of this. And, you know, a little bit of messy grunge, which is good because it made me more excited for this palette. So let me know your thoughts. I do have a non-affiliated code, which is Dion. It will save you 10% on your Nomad purchase, or you can use, what was that code for your next order, Ghosttown15 for 15% off. My recommendation would be to wait until their year-end sale, because the sale was freaking amazing last fall. And yeah, you'll save more than 15% if you wait. And so let me know, do you plan to pick this up? Are you going to get it sooner than later? Are you going to wait for the sale? Are you not going to get it? Do you think you can dupe these for what you already have? If you have greens and you want to do a green look, don't just purchase this for the greens. If you want to do like a purple pinky-ish smoky look and you already have those types of shades, don't just get this palette just for that. If you have neutrals and you tend to lean towards neutral looks, don't just get this palette for that. Get it if you think you're going to enjoy using the entire palette. That's my recommendation. So we're going to leave that there. Thank you for being here. And as always, self-acceptance, self-love. That is the Crazy Troll Nation way. Thank you for being here. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and do that. If you haven't, thumbed up, thumbed it up. Yeah, I'm gonna go. Thank you. And you will see me soon.